Hi everybody. So this edition of Candigram is about the Mandela Effect, and it specifically explores how different groups of people are responding to it and just how many people are being affected by it. If you haven't heard of the Mandela Effect, there's a link in the description box for this video on YouTube that will lead you to a basic overview of it. And I suspect if you check that out, you will discover that you are one of the people who are affected by it. So check it out. But how you respond to discovering that you're affected by it is what I'm interested in today. There are so many different groups of people all reacting to talk of the Mandela Effect in such different ways, and I find that incredibly fascinating. So, based on my personal experience since I discovered this phenomenon over a week ago, I'm going to make some broad generalizations to help summarize what I've observed. My three main categories are those who definitely feel they are affected, those who definitely believe they're not affected, and those who feel unsure. In the first category, I'd first like to talk about dedicated Christians. I'm not religious myself, but this is an interesting group to me because a dedicated Christian, by my own definition, is a person who has made it an extremely serious point in their life to know their Bible. For me, when a person says they remember Forrest Gump saying life is like a box of chocolates rather than life was like a box of chocolates, there's too much strength to the argument that they are simply misremembering for my liking. But when a dedicated Christian says that they have written passages of the Bible onto their heart because of their devout belief in the King James Bible, and now they are shocked that the text in their Bible is different from what they remember, I find this extremely convincing. I observed that the whole subject of the Mandela Effect is extremely divisive. Not only do I see a division form between those who feel affected and those who don't, but also divisions between the different groups who do feel affected. So splits occur between dedicated Christians, for example, and conspiracy theorists, but this division doesn't stop there. Dedicated Christians are also split amongst themselves between those who feel affected and those who don't. Many dedicated Christians who feel affected feel convinced that the Mandela Effect, as it relates to the Bible, is a result of the work of the devil. For them, this thing that their sacred text has been changed is an example of a delusion created by Satan. And interestingly, many dedicated Christians who do not feel affected believe that those who are affected are suffering from a delusion created by Satan. So the divisive nature of the Mandela Effect runs deep at many levels. Next, we have the enthusiastic conspiracy theorists. Many of these put forward the hypothesis that the Mandela Effect is a result of the implementation of advanced technologies, such as the CERN particle collider and the D-wave quantum computer. And some lean more towards concepts of mass mind control, psychological programming by the super elite. New Age spiritual types can tend to look for a more positive explanation, such as a collective spiritual awakening of the human race. Then there are people who describe themselves as psychics, clairvoyants, channels, etc. A popular explanation amongst this group is the Multiverse Theory. Some believe that by raising one's vibration of consciousness, one can move to neighbouring parallel dimensions that match the new frequency, and that this can happen without one realising it is happening. And As I say, these are all broad generalizations on my part. And then there are the ordinary people who don't belong to any of those groups I've just outlined. These people seem more likely to be unable to put their trust in any one given hypothesis. The next main category is those who definitely believe they are not affected. Within this group, there are people who are simply open-minded, curious. They observe that there are large groups of people being affected, and while they don't feel the effects themselves, they're willing to hear about the experiences of the affected without going into a strong debunking position. Then there are the debunkers. At best, debunkers feel that the affected are suffering from confabulation. I'll come to confabulation in more detail shortly. At worst, debunkers tend to feel the Mandela Effect is a deliberate hoax. Debunkers can often feel irritated and even angry when faced with the opinions of the affected. Mainstream media, politicians, high-profile people such as celebrities. This group, as far as I can tell, don't recognise the Mandela Effect as being newsworthy one way or the other. I haven't been able to find anything from this group, but I'd love to hear about examples that any of you may have found. Okay, Wikipedia. There's no dedicated Wikipedia page for the Mandela Effect at the moment. When searching for the effect on Wikipedia, it makes a mention of it on the page that describes the term confabulation as a memory disturbance defined as the production of fabricated, distorted, or misinterpreted memories about oneself or the world without the conscious intention to deceive. So, Wikipedia cites the Mandela Effect as an example of confabulation. Internet trolls are a category in their own right, I think, and they tend to believe that those who are affected by the Mandela Effect are idiotic people who should be ridiculed and abused. Some trolls seem to see this as a service to humanity, while some seem compelled by feelings of outrage. Now, the last main category is those who are unsure. Now, this may seem like a relatively uninteresting category, but for me, it is very interesting because I suspect it is the category that contains more people than all of the rest combined. I myself am affected by the Mandela Effect. There are all kinds of things that I remember as being distinctly different from how they actually are, according to the evidence that is currently available. To me, this feels like a huge and mysterious phenomenon. But my experience of telling other people about it in person this past week has led to me feeling quite lonely and dismayed. Almost every person I've talked to has shown some indications that they are affected, and almost every one of them has been pointedly disinterested or dismissive. The prevalent responses I've encountered so far are that people either shrug it off as something that probably has a simple and rational explanation, such as confabulation, or they accept that it may be a genuine phenomenon, but then go on to say, but so what? It's not like I can do anything about it, so why would I spend time dwelling on it? And there's nothing wrong with those responses. And at the same time, it kind of depresses me. The Mandela Effect is in danger of being dismissed as an internet meme, and maybe that is what will happen. And maybe it's not a bad thing at all. But there are plenty of people who do think that would be a bad thing. And what bothers me more than anything is that regardless of whether the Mandela Effect deserves to be debunked or not, that the response from so many ordinary people could be so indifferent. We talk about the state of the world and what it means to be at the mercy of the super wealthy. But if the only thing that the populace can say is "so what," while all of this is going on around them, then they scare me just as much as the people who pull the strings. So how would it be if we got a clearer idea of how many people are being affected? My personal suspicion is that it would be the majority of the population, and this is just based on my personal experience of talking to people face to face this last week. But it's also my suspicion that the majority of the people who do say they are affected will also be not that particularly interested. And that in itself is a phenomenon that is worthy of investigation to me. I mean, how would it be if we discovered that something like 90% of the people, the global population, were affected by the Mandela Effect? Would that affect how we look at it and talk about it? And maybe it wouldn't in the least, I've no idea. But I thought I would put together an online poll so that we can at least look into what kind of percentage of people are affected. So I came up with 3 questions. The links will come up here shortly, but they'll also be in the YouTube description box for this video. The first question is, are you one of the people who are experiencing the Mandela Effect? And you can answer definitely, definitely not, can't say with confidence. The second question is, what do you think is the most likely cause of the Mandela Effect? Confabulation, shared false memories, or in other words, coincidence, the work of Satan, advanced technology such as CERN and the D-Wave quantum computer, deliberate mind control, psychological programming by the super elite, multiverse theory, moving back and forth between parallel versions of Earth, collective spiritual awakening, other, and if you click that you can type in your own suggestion, and haven't a clue. The final question is intended specifically for people who are affected. How interested are you in this phenomenon that is affecting you? Very, a little, not at all. And like I say, for me, that is the most interesting question of all. So if you would take the poll, I'd really appreciate that. And also if you would share it with as many people that you know as possible and encourage them to take it, I'd really appreciate it, because I'm really interested to see what numbers start to come in. And if you sign up to my mailing list, I'll keep you updated on the results of the poll as they come in. Okay, so that's pretty much me for now. During this week, while all of this stuff has been happening to me, I've been working on a music video for one of my tunes, so I'm going to finish with that. At some point in every boy's life, there comes a time when he must make a robot song. I've always loved the pathos of the robot whenever he turns up in science fiction. For me, the robot is always concerned or embodying the great existential questions. Why was I created? Do I have a soul? Do I have free will? Is my love real? And that's why we relate to robots so easily. So I made my robot song. Take care. Take risks. Be cool. Be warm. And I hope to see you next time. will choose hardened polythene for the soul, rounded, tinted with bright star mosaic, bubblegum flavored, cellophane wrapped. I will choose inflated to the limit. I will choose imperfect sealed segments. I will the purest plastic egg. I will choose bouncing sun spangles hardened across polythene. A sky repackaged for filtering the soul. Ultraviolet light, rounded, tinted, D's bright space, helmet domed environs, cellophane wrapped, encapsulating inflated to the perfect future effect. Sealed segments, my everlasting Eden, fresh plastic egg within an indefinite sell-by-date sun spangles, delighting across my bubble bright amber sky, repackaged and no valve in sight. I will choose. I will choose. I will choose. Star mosaic. I will choose. Ardent polythene for the soul, rounded, tinted, bright. I will choose bubblegum flavor. Ardent polythene, cellophane wrapped for the soul, inflated to the limit, round, tinted, imperfect, sealed segments, bubblegum flavor, the purest cellophane wrapped plastic egg, inflated to the limit. Delighting my bubble bright eye and no valve